Hey everyone, we're joined on site again by Jason Hodges to answer another week's worth of questions which have been collated by the Adbri Masonry customer service teams in your area. Jason, today's a little bit more general in nature. The first question we've got are what costs are involved in a paving project? Are there any hidden things that don't immediately come to mind?
Yeah, probably the one thing people underestimate is waste and removal of waste. So if you're excavating a lot and taking out heavy soil and clay, you can expect to pay up to about $400 a tonne to get rid of it. If you can shape your land so you use it there, you're going to save a lot of money. 8 metre skipping in my area costs $1,000. So cutting and filling is a great way to go. So if you've got a block that's like this, if you take out the top and put it down here, you make your backyard level and you haven't got any waste. As far as the materials for your pavers go, it's so cost effective compared to working inside. Rule of thumb, to build a house is roughly about $1,000 to $1,200 per square metre. Outside, you can take a zero off that and you do it for about $100 a metre. You've got your expensive areas like your patios and your outdoor room because you've got the floor to think about, but you've got your cheap areas, the garden beds and the lawns, which you can get away with for sort of that $10, $15 a metre. By the time you balance the whole thing out, spend about $100 a metre, you are going to end up with a very nice backyard.
And regarding selection for pavers, obviously we know that housing lots are getting smaller and smaller, which generally means we have less of an area to play with. What advice would you give to people with respect to picking a paver for their project that's potentially going to be there for a long time?
When I started landscaping, the materials were really the expensive part of the job and the labour was the insignificant part of the job. And the waste was insignificant, you didn't think about it. Now, the materials are very affordable, so go for something that's really good because it costs the same for someone to lay the cheapest paver as it does the nicest one. So don't skimp on the material that you're going to look at the most, what's on top.
Nice. Another question is the age-old, do I do it myself or do I hire a contractor? If people are leaning towards a contractor, what advice would you give to find the right one? And maybe what are some of the benefits involved in using a contractor?
All right, when it comes to doing it yourself, don't kid yourself. You've got to know your limitations. I would suggest someone start off, do where the bin goes. It might be 1 or 2 square metres. If it looks like a dog's breakfast, don't go and do the outdoor entertaining area. But if it looks really good, you did it in a reasonable amount of time and you enjoyed the process, well then tackle the bigger job because no one's going to enjoy it more than you when you know that it was your design, your workmanship, it's a bragging point, you can one-up your best mate or your brother. I just think that it's a really nice thing to do. When it comes to how do I pick a landscaper, well, or any trade for that matter, I think word of mouth is the best way to go. We've been mates for years, I respect your judgment. If your place has been done and I think it looks $1 million, the first thing I'd say is, who painted your house? John, he lives down the next suburb.
Uncle Jim.
What was he like to deal with? He said he was going to start on Monday. He started on the Monday. He said it'd take 3 weeks. It took 3 weeks. What was the price like? Oh, look, he quoted $7,000, but I got him to do 3 extra things and it come in at 8,000. He's the guy I want. I don't want to look in the paper for AAA landscaping, free quote, can start tomorrow, because all that means is they don't have any work. They probably don't have any work for a reason, and they're advertising in the paper and they could disappear next week. So word of mouth, workmanship on another job. Even if you go up and down your street and you see a house that you admire, knock on the door. If people have had good experience with tradesmen, they want to pass their name on because they want that person to be happy as well and successful. Like I grew up in a suburb called Willoughby, and until I started doing TV, I only worked in Willoughby. So I couldn't burn anyone because I'd be burning the whole suburb. So get someone local, someone who's worked in your street.
Nice. And for those who are considering taking on the project themselves as a DIY job, maybe a little bit more confident as you touched on, some of these projects can be a bit bigger in time, spanning over a couple of weeks. Can we take on DIY projects like courtyards and retaining walls in stages?
Absolutely, but probably the hardest thing, and it's a skill that's in your brain, not physical skill, is the planning process. That's the difference between a good builder and a bad builder, and a good tradesman, landscaper and a bad landscaper, is knowing the process. So you obviously couldn't pave the area and then put the retaining wall underneath it. So you need to build the retaining wall first. If you build a retaining wall and you're backfilling, you need to make sure that all that soil is settled so that your pavers aren't going to sag. There's just steps, but we go through them in all our videos and show you how to do it. So, you know, if you've got the basic hand-eye coordination, they're willing to do it, start with the bin area, and then just sort of go, okay, I want to start with the retaining wall, I'm going to work on the paving, and then I'm going to colour it in. And colouring it in is the plants and the grass that, you know, make it the garden.
Another great series of advice from Jason. Remember, if you've got some questions you'd like to see Jason answer, email them through to inquiries@adbri.com.au or simply hit us up on the messages below.
See you later.